I cakap sorang-sorang bingung. I muted my mic. Sorry. Okay, hello. She muted je. Why? Okay. Okay. Sorry. Here, we're back on another part of the next episode. Sorry for the mute as I was saying hello. Sorry. Okay. I think I don't need to explain myself. I'm muted. So hello everyone. Okay, we'll just continue. Okay. I can't believe I did that. Oh, I forgot. There should be like, you know, did I? Do I? Oh, I have. Okay, I need to I need to rewind back. Pika's not here. Pika's here with me spiritually in my heart. and that's why this new layout, the box above me is a chat box. So, and this gameplay will be recorded, and thus what so that I'll upload it. I'll upload the playthrough in the YouTube, and so the people who watch it won't be like, you know, what am I talking about. So yeah. Also, that's why. Okay. I don't know what to say anymore. Let's continue. Satu-satu take a deep breath and gently slip back the bolt. Okay. Done. Someone died again. So small. Pavlova so small. You. What are you doing in Miss Pavlova's quarters? Dragunov. You both look unhurt. Good. Oh, so Naga. He smiles so precious though. How could people just, you know, beat him up somehow? Always for him. Yes, we're fine, thank you. What on earth happened? And the boat, of course. We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report. A false report? Oh my. How could you false report a ship? There's a dense fog. Oh, okay. So it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop. Everything is chaos. Passengers are screaming. Crew are running everywhere. This first class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment, really? Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm? Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? What button? You wicked intruder! Dressed all in black, you are the devil. Whoa, Mr. Pavlova don't have the hat anymore. Sorry, me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil is a first. You opened my traveling case. How could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Spectre! Pavlova. Pavlova's so cute though. Yes. Arrest this man. I know he didn't know. Oh! He's a criminal. Is it not enough that he has killed a man? Hey! God, he died in his stowaway as well. If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe? But I'm not a vixen. Get away, he's is a trespasser as well as everything else. Hey, suka hati je tu dorang. Sorry, suka hati lah. Like heart. Like heart. Tuduh. Sorry, my bilingual. My bilingual behind just be bye. Just say bilingual. Come your way, trespassing, killing. She is like you are, devil. It doesn't look good, does it? There is cell below deck. Throw him in. Oh my god, we have a ship jail. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong. Then we give you straight to police. Wait, a cell? Hong Kong? Please expect those guys. There's nothing you can do. It's Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. Oh, it's no longer under Japan. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. Oh, this is terrible. This is real crisis. I got to find a solution. I mean, like, you know, I think cell is better than locked inside the cupboard somehow. I think. But yeah, drop off at Hong Kong is bad news. I mean, like, not that Hong Kong is a bad place, but you know, you're on going to London immediately. What? Don't say you run away. What should we do, Examine? Don't say you're running away. Ah! What are you doing here? Why? What the? What are you doing up there? Ooh. Last time I just said that I want a tiara or Rionosuke and not shows. And today we got shows with tiara. Beautiful. I must say, Choto Matane. He's beautiful. Yeah. Maya Bay. Sorry. It's the shows with a tiara. Naturally, I was analysing what a weight of 20,000 rubles feels like on one's head. Lol. What? But then, like, you know, why do you need to wear the tiara on your head if it's not on your head? Have I not told you that as a detective, it's my business to know what other people do not? What? What? This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh no. Well, why were you hanging from that hook before then? Yes, exactly my question. Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of the 20,000 rubles. What? But you're hanging. Why? How? I wish to determine if it would bend that conceited looking hook on the wall so full of brag and bounce. And I never know whether to take this much seriously or not. Same. You again. Whoa. The great detective. Is the stream somehow stuck? I think the stream stuck lah. Is it? Okay, let's continue. Sorry for the lag. Something happened, so yeah. Just to check back what the chat was about. Sorry. Okay. So I don't know where we stopped. Naturally, I was analysing what a weight of 20,000 rubles feels like on one's head. Ren, have I not told you that detective? Yeah. Yeah, also Naga said, Inspector, I confess I've been looking for you. Ooh. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other than a hook on the wall next time. What is the report? Speak! An urgent report from a great detective can mean but one thing. One thing, yes. The case of the curious murder that took place last night here on this vessel, the steamship Buria, has been solved. By me, naturally. The murder? What? Really? Yes, I've eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist. So, allow me to illuminate all your minds. For I am about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction into the case. So many greats. I wonder if this is why the game named the Great Esotery, because the existence of the Great Sherlock Holmes. Ha! You have solved it. Even Hedgehog understands this case. We all knew who was responsible for killing student boy this morning when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is this stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it. I didn't do it. I didn't. The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who was inside the cabin. Yes, it's what's called a lock room mystery in detective stories. Oh, lock room. That is point. The room was locked. Well, I can deny that. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. You are all quite mistaken. Whoa. The cabin next door is not so-called locked room at all. What? Oh yes, there is another entrance. Where? An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door. Where? What are the entrances? We never discovered one. Wide gaps open mouth at you even as we speak. The ventilator, man. Wow, Sholmes know how to use man. Do people use, like man behind sentence way in the past? The ventilator? Gahahaha. You think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through that hole, serious? Of course lah, see how bulky you are. That's because your arm are as thick as tree trunks. You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening? It's not possible. But it is. And last night the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator. Pavlova can only heal somehow. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean? Are you referred to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? 1:23 AM, I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 AM, what looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. The thing is, what is a speckled band? Is it the band, the string thingy, the elastic string is called a band? Or is it, the people in the band? Precisely, my dear madam. But what does it mean? What is this speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Oh. What are you kickboxing at? Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? There is a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What am I about to expose for you all to see will shock you to your cause. Wah, behold. Behold Nani. Yeah, wow, what the... What? Oh! So it's not a cat, it's not a dog, it's not a rat. It's a snake. Senpai's voice made my eye treat as BG noise than me. I'm listening to the Hades soundtrack. I'm sorry. Pika in my heart says, I mean, like, you know, Senpai jerit while the background noise whine. So, you know, I mean, Pavlova's friend is a snake. My god. How can... What? Snake? Really? And Straganov was like, I'm used to this already. Allow me to introduce you all to the band. The speckled band. This is a... Snake? Indubitably. My god! A snake? On a boat? On a ship? Why don't people scream? I mean, like, snake. Mr. Sholmes, just one thing. Brave, what troubles you? Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Okay, but okay, now I need to know, what does speckled mean? Dotty, is it? Huh? Yes, you're right. I think in this case you would have to call it stripy band. The striped band, wouldn't you? Right? You both see and observe with distinction, however. Do you not think that is precisely the trap into which the culprit wishes you to fall? What a culprit? It's a... what? How exactly? Jones just doesn't like to lose, you know. And perhaps this time I explain the intricacies of my chain of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova? Pavlova? I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one, last night your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. And number two, that same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life. No. How could the snake... I mean, like, is it poisonous? I don't think it's poisonous. It's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Lapar ke? Are you hungry? Ryunosuke Sholmes must be right. He's hit the nail on the head. I think he hits the nail but on the behind of the of the nail, not the head. This young woman's friend killed Mr. Asogi. Looks like he can't speak with that snake coil around his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, seaman. You wouldn't want the fangs of that long friend in your neck. So everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Oh, we're dancing again, yay! The great deduction, the game is afoot. Intruder's identity. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. This stuff is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Oh. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. What aching heart? If aching heart's wrong, then what is? And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. We asked, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that dangerous night? So, I'm trying really hard to respect your wishes and not raid you with a bunch of people. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for not raiding me. I think that must be weird, but like, you know, thank you. Because like, I would panic somehow, I think. Because, you know, I'm just playing this game while you play League of Legends and your viewers are mostly like, you know, likes League of Legends. You know how hard that is. That is. I'm sorry, but also thank you. I'm alone today. My friend is studying for her finals, but she's communicating with me in heart. So my time. I'm just playing alone. So yeah, Torasa, I hope you have a good rest because it's going to be like 5 a.m. at your place. So you know, have a good rest. Mary's getting her McDonald's breakfast. I think before this she said so. So I hope you know, get rest, and I welcome if you want to lurk around. This game you can, like, you know, sleep on it. Is she? No, yeah, she's communicating. No, I mean Mary. Yeah, Mary. I was also looking in Mary's stream just now. She said that she wants to go get some McDonald's. Actually, was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? The snake is Pavlova's friend. As expected, another telltale glance. Where did you glance? Without doubt, your friend. Oh, okay. Yes, of course I like. Thank you, demon mummy. You know, also, I also have a horn. You know, see my Angie horn. Can I be your child? I'm going to go lay down, Joe. Thank you for coming to the stream. I appreciate it. Okay, you're welcome. May I enjoy lurking in your stream too. So the snake isn't, you know, Pavlova's friend. And yet that fact leaves us in a quandary. Yeah. That snake is, no. No snake, no. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band. No, stop, no. Why are you so scary? Whereas regrettably, I have no doubt that the snake will soon attack shows. These specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? What? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. What? What is that? Yes, that which you are trying, but... Oh. Can only be the snake's low skin. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours. shed its original skin, no? Oh? I don't know what you're talking about. Obviously. Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friends lived next door. I don't think the snake is her friend. Using the bell cord on the other side as a bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake whose marking change each time it loves its skin. A snake so dreadful we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. I think Sherlock's deductions this time is a bit, haywire, I think. How Mr. Sogi died. Moving on, we came on the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life and why? I do not know. According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear there were no visible signs of injury. Mia! In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. But it's not a venom. Now we take that as fact. Can we keep dancing? We can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. No, could that be? Oh, she knows. Oh, what is that? Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Okay. What is that? Belt. Nice belt. The almost but not quite imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. It's no fangs. Yes, the vestiges of the snake bite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There is no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. I think it's an alarm clock. If periodically your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't. It is telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. Does sound a whistle? As a whistle, that was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend. That is for a dog to treat. I can't whistle, as you can see. Oh no, okay. Indeed, you put the serpent through this ventilator and after a period, you summon it back with a whistle. Couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs for life next door. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you would release the snake once more. You deny this snake has undergone such training? It's not true. Yes, deny. Having slitted through the ventilator down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once, and its venom would curse through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. Ending his existence forever is a bit of a stretch, I think. That is the true nature of a speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt. My logic is infallible. It's truly haywire. I have no idea what you're talking about. Death by a venomous snake's bite. Test concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of the speckled man. Poor, you know, Stroganoff. Like, a snake. No. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There, on the floor, you will observe a source of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any creature. Incredible. You believe that Wilovsky? You solved the mystery. Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now how Herlock Sholmes has become such a household name. No, what? Do you believe this man? I mean, like, I don't think the deduction is correct. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. Or what? Russian did not say that, Sato. See, even Sato is doubting you. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes? Don't tell me it's time for Sato to dance, but of course, what's on your mind? It's just about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions as to my method, and will answer both loudly and proudly. Oh, well, good. First of all, she even, you know, take out a book. Snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, madam. Of course, that's, you know, that's logic. And reptiles don't drink milk. It's really, oh, I thought, you know, on the milk saucer they put chicken or something. Really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. Oh really? That's the first I know. Only mammals drink milk. Oh. So I'm not sure it would be possible to train a snake using milk as reward. Don't say. No matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova used some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example, the logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears. Oh, true. So you can't use whistle. Yes, so I'm not sure it would really be possible to signal to a snake by whistling. But madam, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute? I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. Oh, I see. Oh, shows that, you know, crash. Like how, you know, Santa's not real and all. No hands, no feet, no ears. These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless. Don't hear that, snakes lovers. Snakes are cool. For other people's likings, that is. I'm okay with snakes. I'm, you know, half. I'm in the grey area of snake loving or hating spectrum. Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. And there's one other thing. You have more? Snakes use the skills on their bellies to propel themselves. So I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these cabins. Then it should try hard. Shows! I see how I say he doesn't like to lose. Yeah. Please don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have had a part in this. Oh, he's so defeated somehow. How come Miss Pavlova also, like, you know, defeated? It was sad somehow. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no, you don't mean yes, we're going to dance again. Yes, we need to modify Mr. Shom's latest deductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be. I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Uranus can light the dance. It's what I was waiting for, Mr. So you're waiting for us? Yes, right. So cast your eyes down to your wrist again. Ooh, what? Oh, we got unshackled again. Yay! You know, I think Mr. Shom have buttery hands, sneaky hands. I don't know. Your hands come. Your hand. Where did they go? Ask the great Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes. Cannot. I shall see they are restored after our work is done. I really wish you would leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Let's dance again. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Holmes. Happy one, introduce identity, a beloved speckled pen. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. This stuff is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. True. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. Aching heart? She does have a pain expression on her face. Yes, that's true. She looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you're not sure Mr. Shultz has read her quite correctly, is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression then? Let's take a moment and really look very closely at Miss Pavlova. Hand. There's something on her hand, that's why it's looking. Can we zoom? Cannot. Then what is? The scratch. There's a scratch. So it's a cat. Is it a cat? Yes, when you recall those horrid events, that claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that the wound's fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch? Sometime last night. If something were to scratch me, I don't think, the scratch would just close up. Or have a scab. Just like overnight. When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. Oh, what happened? And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the reading serpent we see. It seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by the friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze, Naruhodo-san. That's where we'll find the answer. Is it the rat inside there? Where? Oh! It's a cat then. Eh? We're looking over this frame, photographic print, where you? But let's not be distracted by the print itself. Oh no. It's the frame that is your home. No! No! Naruhodo is the cat. Sorry to butt in, but I need a brain. Okay, so like hotel price comparison websites of course allows customers to maintain it. It's not the frame, Yaro. What precisely was your intention with that, Mr. Naruhodo? I don't mean the frame, just follow the natural progression of deduction. Sometimes the truth hurts. Well, the truth is you do not have a turn for observation or deduction. Did that hurt? Yes, a lot. Oh my god, I just lost a star for that. That's boring. You can be reasonably sure that Miss Pavlova furtive glance was aimed at a friend and that same friend's were. You also know that whatever it is, this frame must be small enough to pass through the ventilator. That really ought to narrow it down. Let me scout around again in the direction she look. So we can't just present. I think we need to. But you know, there's a cat there. Where can we see this? Is it Miss Seaman Stroganoff? Oh, it is. Eh, no, it's not. Forget about how you could get to the ventilator jumping over his face away for you. And what more dependable friend could you ask for than Seaman Beef Stroganoff? What spectacularly contrived logic led you to this mindless conclusion? Oh well, it's supposed to be logic and reasoning spectacularly, so I thought I would contribute the show. This is my show, Mr. Naruhodo. Can you perform any peculiar experiments on your own stage? Sorry. Then we can be Nana. Yeah. Be Stroganoff. Rating serpent. Teapot. Is the teapot her friend? The photograph frame. I saw the cat, but there's no cat here. What can we do? Is it the cat? Is the cat here? Is it the teapot? Is it the photograph frame? No. I'm saying the print. I want the cat. What? Is it the teapot? Don't make me choose the teapot. What? Should I? I mean, I have a lot of points left. Of course not. It's not the teapot. Yes, I know what you're thinking. What is this man talking about? I'll tell you what I'm talking about. The truth. Yes. Who could you have a more cozy relationship with than a shiny teapot? What spectacularly contrived logic led you to this mindless conclusion? Well, it's my show, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry, no, I have only 2 life left. What? Where is this friend? Is it the serpent? Don't tell me. Is that her friend? I see the cat. Masalahnya, I want the cat. I want the photograph frame. But why do you... You know, why do you keep not letting me in? I want this. I want the cat. Give me the cat. Why is it so hard for you to give me the cat? Takkanlah the rating serpent. What? It's not! With its deadly venom, this snake must be a tricky creature to befriend. But as a belly dancer, you can't resist his graceful movement. Yes, you hope to learn the secrets of his slippery ways and add a serpentine slant to your performance. Are you quite concentrating? You identified exactly what I did originally. Oh yes, so I have. Sorry. Well, I do understand as inimitable as I am. People do like to try, but you won't make a great detective like that. Not even a great detective assistant. I am not your assistant then. Alright, I think again. I only have one left. Why do you make us give the frame? What in the world? Is there anything else that we should forget about? Is there anything here? Nani? I see the photograph here. I see the cat. But there's no cat here. There's the what do I want to say? Why do you give me the photograph frame? I want the print. Show me the print. Ah. Why? 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 Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Nothing here. Nani kore? I am panicking. I see the cat. Give me the cat. No. I want the cat. Oh, I die. I see the cat. I died here. This is how I die. Deduction failed. I can see nothing. Retry from course correction. Of course. Oh, we can retry. That's nice. So I didn't die. That's good. Everyone, let's begin. Hello, short copies and logic and spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. How to show that cat? Interesting. I see the cat. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Oh. Oh, the story just continues itself. Hey, is the stream stuck again? My god. Okay. Sometimes like body yang meron store. I wonder if we just, press this the story mode, the game continues, I think, or do we need to search for it? It's made by this friend of ours, doesn't it? Except snakes don't have claws, do they? Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, it's the true identity of the friend of hers. That's where we'll find us. Oh! Oh! The story mode can, like, you know, show the story on their own. But we don't need to. I mean, like, that's fun. That's easy. That's a cheat code. Ah, look at the photograph in this frame. There's a cat! This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away. She's exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? A kitten, yes, that's true, but personally, it's the little black creature she's holding that caught my eye. Why do you call it a black creature? Like, you know, it's a cat. Just, like, you know, point out it's a cat. You don't have to say black creature. Maybe we would take a better look at this. It's a cat. Little kitten. Wait! It's the little kitten we see before us. Ah, without doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Ah, yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear. Wow. Oh no. Oh, the dance. Inosuke just dance around. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Ah! Darka. Oh, the black kitten name is Darka. So cute. I couldn't leave it behind. Darka will appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in quandary. The victim's written observations of the night in question tell of a speckled band. Whereas regrettably, these specimens marking do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. There's nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Oh, that's how a speckle looks like? Yes, that which you're trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's long skin. Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her. If she would just leave it in her pocket, no one would ever have known. Yeah, true. Oh yes, plus like that Mr. Show's specialty. Is ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something. I thought deduction was his specialty, or maybe making me believe there was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that's the skin of a snake. In which case, that's what is Miss Pavlova's hiding behind her back. What is it? A collar! I'm guessing it's a collar. Snakes love skin. What is that? A toy? I think it's a toy. Is it? A toy? Oh, we can press it. Well, it is speckled and it is a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy, a long piece of cloth of some sort. And that looks like a handle at one end. It's a toy. I think it's maybe a cat's toy. This sort of common in the West apparently. How is that a toy for cats? I have a cat named Timmy. She likes to play this kind of stuff. Like every time she saw me, she would like, you know, wants to play with me. It didn't seem particularly love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them and they pounce to catch it. True, very true. That sounds positively adorable. Whoa! Positively adorable cat's toy. So we can now present this. Cat's toy. Can only be a cat's toy. Yes, the thing you are trying but failing to conceal is a cat's toy. Precisely, and the true nature of now infamous speckled band. And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. Why is the cat missing? You wave it around, presume naturally the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. In summary, the nature of these friends of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darka. A truly troublesome feline young Darka is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. The photograph of Miss Pavlova and Darka has been entered into the court record. Do we even have a court later? Courtship, is it? It was after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. What happened? She scratched the back of my hand and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared to the ventilator. Darka, she is so naughty. The beloved kitten. Oh, how Mr. Asogi died. Okay, so now it's how Mr. Asogi died. I don't think he died, please. Sorry I'm saying that, but I don't think he died because of, you don't know. Maybe he just fainted. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of I have been apprised, it would appear there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom, so it's not a snake. What Mr. Shong says is true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body. That's right. But Mr. Shong seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned? Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now. Okay, so we have the post-mortem report. Listen, in fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Yes, I knew it was one of the other. The snack was... Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only the Goliath will be strong enough to survive that. Demon Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, You don't tell me the snake somehow, kill him, is it? The jury is out anyway. We have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now we take that as a fact. He kept dancing. We can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of a crime. No, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something or someone. Yes, that's a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found, though. Darka didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and do him a fatal blow. That's impossible, I suppose. It's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh yes, a bad fall could explain it. Rather hard to believe of Kazuma-sama though. He wasn't a clumsy man. Yes, he wasn't. What is that? A lollipop? Nani? Tabla. Don't have to read that. Is this deduction somehow? Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? I want to see. What should we? I just wasted a point on that. The deduction was wanting in every way. Yes, I was wanting you to hear it. I'm proud of it. I find myself wanting never to have heard it. I'm quite pained by it actually, sorry. I mispressed it. Mr. Sholmes, I'm sorry. I'll try again. Yeah, an animation of this is body. Wheel. Okay. There was something we found in his cabin that puzzled us. If you remember, a strange mark. It should be among other evidence we have gathered. Alright, let me look through the evidence again for a strange mark Sato-san's talking about. Oh, I guess it's that's the bell. We can review C. Which, yes, an examination of the mark will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish. Shoe polish? Indeed, positively identified by a little analysis device constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results, and undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. Wow, the dust and the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Miss Asogi's leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asogi must have caught his foot at that point on the floor and tripped. Please no. So Asogi tripped on the kitten, I guess, and by a dreadful turn of misfortune caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal. Oh, that's a lame way to die. Deliver it to me. Oh. Actually passed by. I'm so happy. So like, do you get a pow somehow? Pika. Because in my heart, I'm talking to her. Why? You are old. Fine. Yeah, that's a... I don't know. No! I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? Huh. What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more. Can't be true. I refuse to accept. See, even Susato's with me. I refuse to accept it that Kazuma died because of this, fall. That's, no. I don't believe he's dead. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. And if this part of Mr. Show's deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she just cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. Where? Show me. Show me your true identity. Where? Can we just see waste paper basket again? This is a waste paper basket with all the sorry. Only start to occur in this cabin like last night. Actually, there's not much rubbish in there yet. Oh, there's a bell. Oh, what's that? It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it? Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. If it looks familiar, then it's more than your mind simply playing. If it looks familiar, then perhaps it's more than your mind playing tricks on you. Yes, it does seem familiar. Should we present that? Yeah, what is the question again? It's probably trying to hide some evidence. Okay. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket. Yeah, finally the waste paper basket means something. That's right, you hid the evidence. Evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket. Ah, the bell, the half of the bell. Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object. Same one that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely, we found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Sogi's cabin. And as you can see, the two pieces fit perfectly together. Oh no. A glass is a... Can a glass be a bell? So Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the waste paper basket in your cabin? Yeah. So I guess she climbed up to the ventilator, and took the cat. You are well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not? I don't know. In that harsh Russian accent of yours. I don't know how a Russian accent is, so like, you know, just bear with me. I'll save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Naruto. Oh, you're giving me the final blow. Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavlova and the little glass bell, that would be the cat. If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from darkest color, it's a bell. Ding dong dong dong. The very glass bell in question. Why? Don't break down, Miss Pavlova. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? The cat. You know, how do you feel like dancing around while solving a mystery of your best friend's death? Are you having fun, Naruto? How do you feel? Your absent failing friend, Darka. No! Miss Pavlova, are you okay? I couldn't tell anyone. Don't cry, I'm sorry. Death by tripping over a cat. No, I don't know how to feel. Is it bad? Is it sad? Should you know, like, it's okay? I don't know. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. So, it was so fast, she disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it? Yes. And I had read the rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. Oh. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. So at that point, we thought it safe to try to lure the kitten back again. I dangled the end of the toy bit through the ventilator into the adjoining cabin. Darka always loved this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. You call her like that? So the faint whistling son Kazuma wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. Just had to wait until she had come down. But then... I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Kazuma was... Oh. From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victims tapping on the glass bell and tripping out. And the SS Buria is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. If Miss Dasogi was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet, a combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. That's sad. But what became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Oh, she didn't climb back, yet Darka is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my keys, and now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is an insufferable restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself at least. When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine had died. I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right, where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then who is it and where did it came from? Okay, so I guess it's Beef Stroganoff's pet. What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board? Ah, I think that explains why the marks on Beef Stroganoff, lol. Oh, I didn't see. Snake is my friend. His name is Pirosco. Huh? What? What? That explains the white mark thing. That snake belongs to you. He escaped from cage when emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect him to find him in here. Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board. Ah, we are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without close friend, without someone who understands? Or did you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake, truly you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in. No venom. Eh? Pirosco does not have venom. He is harmless, very long but very gentle. He is adorable like Granny. Oh. It's venomless? No hands, no feet, no claws. What else? No venom. Yes. Now he is hungry, so he is in a bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile. How can we see a big smile on the snake and you feed him what? Milk, I suppose? Ah, like they say, they milk chickens ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Pirosco eat mouse. Big fat round mouse. Ah. Oh, so is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for? Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favorite food? Nothing says top of the food chain like the look on their eyes right now. It refuses to drink milk, it can't hear a whistle, it can't climb up a balcony, it is now even venomous. Finally I can go eat. Yes, go eat, Pika. Go eat like the snake in this game. Eat like there's no tomorrow. It's not even venomous. How did this? Did something so inept land a starry room? Shows! It's not my fault, I do not make up stories. But yeah, that's my Pirosco is nothing to do with this incident. So that's what had happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. Not so tragic now then. Sad though. I mean, like, there's no killer, but you know, like, just end like that. Sorry. No, like, sad that nothing. Miss Pavlova? I understand the difficult situation you have found yourself in, and I do sympathize. But please remember this. A young man lost his life if you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies. Then no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But what are you talking about, Miss Mikotoba? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events, an accident. I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Oh? Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Huh? What? Okay. What? To be fairly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it. I don't see any discrepancy. What is it, Sholmes? I confess. I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh. Okay. I guess the lies that she tried to cover the guilt, so she put on the finger thingy, I think. There's an issues on this matter. Oh, I'm only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. Distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Not again. When did he do that? Especially as they are on your wrist as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You were, Mr. Schultz? I don't understand. What are we into now? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Was he not? Yes. Kazuma was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom even. Freedom? Eh? In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died. About how that scene in your cabin really came to be. You really died though? Are you really? Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. Wait. What we should ponder first is the victim who lost his life in the cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? That is what we must establish in the first instance. I think it's an accident, but she covered it up. I think, but we have established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident. Mata! Wait, let's just take a step back. Doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Same, I'm in the same condition as Hosonaga. I'm confused here. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. What shape? There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Kazuma's cabin. It's undeniable. This death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? I think it's an accident. No. Bring me to you. Tell me what is wrong. What is the what? Really? Is it an accident or not? Let's show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. Evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident. I think it's the, I think it's this. The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way that Mr. Sogi could have left this message on the floor. That script, it's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language, Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. No, it is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. Even until now, we don't understand Russian. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry, what do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There is no way that Mr. Sogi could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explaining here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Which means after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't possibly have written anything, because he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asogi's cabin. What is? A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there if what Miss Pavlova told us was true. What? So Sato-san has noticed it too then. Putting this message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. What is another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident, in other words? What? Bring me to you. Okay, let us test. What? Oh, okay. This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's the glass bell the kitten had around its neck. We already knew all about that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. We already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, there is a very big flaw, a fatal flaw. What? If that's really what had happened, then how did one? Yeah, true. I think she climbed there. Yes, remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in that wastepaper basket. Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no. Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Sogi died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Yeah! Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Asogi's mata. You're wasting time. Wow, the Russian no mata. Someone else was there? Duh, of course we know this. What are you talking about? Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out. Oh yes. And only other person in cabin when young student died was you. Like, yes. No, don't say no. Don't say yes. It's true, I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I could have left that message. No, not would have. There's no way you could have left that message, to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor, in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And then the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor, for fear of it becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Asogi really died. But why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was always going to raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. The single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would barely have cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder then the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? This person really protects her. Team and Stroganoff. Nina is woman of sea. She is daughter of strong sailor. Oh? Is your daughter then? 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills and she went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on this ship, a member of ship's band. You do not accuse ship's angel of being criminal. Ah, so that's it. You say that when young student died, Nina was there in his cabin. But that is not possible. I give my tooth. Tooth, eh? Well, this is almost interesting. Whose daughter and why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure? You are a great detective, you should know. Look trophy nice. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into cabin, not Nina, not anyone. Nina can climb. Or you want to tell me that killer can walk through locked doors? Nyet, it's impossible. Ugh, he's right. But wait, I read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread around door latches so they can open and close them from the outside. That's impossible thread. Are you stupid? These bulkheads are no barn doors. Certainly not. These are watertight doors as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed of heavy metal, constructed of heavy steel. If not a gap inside, no threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so Sato-san, how could you shift it to me like that? So Seaman Stroganoff has a valid point. The cabin door could have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily. What? Hijab, what? I put it to you I could bolt this. I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. Ah, the shape, the wave, and in this very cabin, I see the traces of the method I have in mind having been used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut the bolt of the cabin door from the outside. One way does spring to mind, yes. Do you really know Mr. Sholmes means, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, and so should you. Because we have seen it happen. Of course, when the time, the wave came, the break. Indeed, we have. So, would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo? Point out the telling signs of the method that was used to slide the cabin door bolt across from the outside. Telling signs, I see. I think it's the book. Do we need to? Yeah, I think we need to present this. Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things on it have toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that are fastened down are bound to fall over. I believe, yes, it's what known as the Force of Inertia. So we're learning physics in this game. It's inertia. You guys know inertia? Which I don't know. It's a lot. It's a Newton laws of physics. I'm sorry. Is there nothing Sato-san doesn't know, or that isn't in her book at least? Inertia. Ardonosuke is inertia. My God, I learned that at school. Well, it's called the same force that pushed over those books on the bookcase. Also made something else in this cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door. It was very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier. We had come into the cabin not long before and we hadn't bolted the door. But then... Hello, is anybody in there? Shout if you need an assistance. Oh, that sounds like Inspector Hosonaga. Oh yes. That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the boat flew across and locked the door. Yes, it's made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the force of inertia. If we want to call it that. It's inertia, Runosuke. Are you trying to say that last night the Mr. Sogi was killed? Do we... Oh. This is Julia made another emergency stop. There is another mystery though, like they are all have headaches somehow. So there must be something inside the ship that's planning for something. Plus, where is Roy Lloyd, Mr. Roy Lloyd? When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I? Then when we came into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Sogi's cabin. Oh my! Oh my! Oh my. Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova? Are you out of your mind? You said Buriam made emergency stop? It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. Oh, it is simple enough. Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside is to trigger the emergency alarm? Oh yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there, telling you only need to press the button in times of emergency. Like, do you just, you know, press the button on any time? Don't you have a law for that? Like, don't, if you press for false emergencies, you might get sued, something. On dark nights when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. Hence the placement of number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. This sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Wait, it was you? Huh? When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings and the vessel comes to a complete stop. Yes, indeed, it did a little earlier today. Lol, he pressed that. Nyeng. You're in big trouble, Mr. Sholmes. Truly, it wasn't you who... As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed. Whatever the occasion. Oh my god. He sounds almost proud of himself. How dare you mess with ship? I report you to Captain. You are in much trouble now. Now, I'm sure all that can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learned a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin door slides close. So, what we must now consider... Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asogi, did this ship make an emergency stop or did it not? You are idiots. Buria is a huge ship with many passengers. If we make emergency stop even in the middle of night, there would be chaos everywhere. What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, it's certainly it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? We have? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence? Do we have it? I'm so bad at this. Let me check this. I think this is it. I think it's the ship log. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night? Seaman Stroganoff. It's your duty to patrol the first class area of the ship, isn't that right? And the ship's log is here. This would be where you record the details of your duties. What are you doing with that? That is mine! Nyeh. You rather carelessly left it atop the little makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with a mind to return it to you later. I left it there on purpose. That is where I put it always. The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you write the phrase "nothing to report" every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log? It was surprising, that is. Duh, because nothing happened. But if nothing happened, you would normally write "nothing to report," wouldn't you? Gulp. Indeed so, which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened here aboard the SS Buria, steamship Buria. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night? Stop talking rubbish! If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh, why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, surely all of us would have noticed. That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, the alarm bell was so loud. I can imagine that anybody would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of the night. Well, no, that's a good point. What of the throbbing? Sorry, what do you mean? Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered from it. Oh yes, I have had a headache, you're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you have all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. That's right, mine has been throbbing today too. What's wrong? And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. Someone poisoned the food. Then the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. Not poison, like, you know, something on the food. Something. I had already been dragged out the wardrobe and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. How did I wake up when all that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, you boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes. Sorry. Stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Well, Kazuma looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact, I had all of that. Kazuma wasn't fond of chicken. Oh really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right, he didn't touch it. Is that relevant? So he didn't feel anything, because he didn't eat it. My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Oh. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. This is getting big. Really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a soporific designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who consume it. A sleeping drug? Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? Naruto, of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea. I mean, that's logical, precisely. See? Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug would certainly be impossible, unless that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. Oh? What? Well, seaman? Eh? I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. So I guess everyone was drugged so that Nina could board the ship, I think. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew and the captain himself would be hauled over the coals for aiding and abetting a renegade. A renegade? So he is helping the... Is it? I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore. These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yes, so when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me. We all agreed to help, everyone together. We threw away everything, her fame in the ballet, Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel. Oh, I don't believe it. Eh? You are right, we put sleeping drug in chicken last night. Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on the plum of something strange and bitter at one point. We could not meet all drug. How do you say dissolve? Or talk about heavy seasoning. At midnight, in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. He was held by comrade on shore with small fishing boat. While all the passengers of the SS Buddha slept soundly, thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion their ailing meals had contained. So if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who disliked chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been possible for you. But how does that make sense? Really, every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Of course. Just like us, all the other passengers who have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins, after which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite, and accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes. The overwhelming majority of passengers would habitually sleep with their cabin doors bolted anyway, and so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, The culprit brought this entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. Just for the single door. You have talked a long time and said many things. What is point? The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene where the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor on an attempt to incriminate others. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. And someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night. but I don't know about any of this. I'm just a little girl. You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. So I guess Stroganoff, I did, but I'm sailor, and sailors don't listen to long boring stories we don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes. No evidence. A laudable trait. What? I am quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Oh, hello. Welcome. Welcome. Are you going to stay now? So that was the voice of Pika from my heart. Materialized. Okay. Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes. Do you hear it? The accusatory cry of guilt on the wind. What accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry, you lost me. Proof of the involvement. Do you hear it? Pika's voice. Also, Pika, are you in the chat? Because I need 3 views average. If you like, you know, lurk for me if you want to. I need a lurker. Tadi yeah. Now no. Oh, I can lurk. Thank you. I need 3 views average. Because to reach the what? The affiliate. No, you must hear it with your eyes. You don't hear with your eyes, Sholmes. For observation is the basis of all deduction. What are you talking about? I believe the time has come. I get sometimes clue of French accent. I don't know why. For one, find another logic reasoning spectacular to expose the truth. Oh my god, do I have time for this? So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance, if you please. Oh, you know more dance alone. We dance together, together. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? With observation, my dear fellow, just as I said of these two prevaricators. Observation? If you remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Sogi's death. But what we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of those two was there when it happened. Precisely, you are delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright. You know, close up, Mr. Sholmes is quite handsome actually. Close up lah. So we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last night when Kazuma died. Okay, so we're seeking for evidence. We're seeking for something that could prove the existence of chunky arms. No, I don't know. Is there any evidence on this guy? Do you see anything? I don't see. Oh, the ink. Hello. Seaman Stroganoff. You seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there. Eh? Ah yes, I don't know where the dirt comes from. You're trying to hide something, so nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain. What are you trying to say? It would appear the significance of this stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it clean. Another observation is a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Sorgonov's uniform, and I think what made it is clear indeed it is. So, Mr. Naruto, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence that proves that the stain on the back of Seaman Sorgonov's uniform really is this. Hoi! Crime scene photograph. Yes, it's this photograph and the ink it shows. That's what caused the stain on your uniform. Ink? A rather unusual color of ink, purple. What? The penny drops at last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of exactly the same color. Purple ink. I would like that ink. If the ink had been dry, you couldn't possibly have stained your uniform in that way. Which means... Oh! Actually kan, if... Actually the voice of Pika tadi is not can even heard from the from the stream. So yes. Okay. Immediately after the ink was spilled, because I just put the audio from the game, so that's why. Alright, yes. It was me. I did it. Everything. Huh? So he tried everything to cover it up. I arranged everything in that student's cabin to make it look like Wardrobe Man did it. Then I pressed button to make Gloria do emergency stop and bolt cabin door shut. So Sorgonov know the story was there. I think I did everything so no one would suspect our angel. If, please. Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was on duty patrolling passageway. Then our angel came to me. She was white like shit. If, please, you must help me. I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw student boy on floor. Oh. What happened here? Please, don't tell anyone. My little one, my little furry friend. Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you. The kitten escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Asogi's cabin. Then he tripped over it and broke his neck, and when he fell to the floor. Yes, that is right. So after the incident when the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers, only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor. He said she was worried when she heard sound of something falling on the floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel? Yes, Angel. The door was not locked. So she opened to look, and you already know what happened after. There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind. What? When you went to Mr. Asogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why? I already told you. When Nina opened the door of student's cabin and looked inside, I was asking Miss Pavlova. Oh, that was scary, Susato. Well, Miss Pavlova. Da. Yes. Oh. Yes, that is right. I saw him, it was dark and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. Oh. I understand and I believe you. So is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Kazuma's death at last? Ah, something very nearly slipped my mind. Oh, Mr. Scholes? This photograph? Yes, I took this myself, you know. Okay. The cause of death was a broken neck, therefore the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, a kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, then there is one particular area in this photograph that seems to me somewhat unnatural. What do you mean unnatural? What are your thoughts on the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, well, what? If Kazuma tripped and fell, and by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck, which part of the photographic print seems unnatural? Position of the body, I guess. Because if you fell on neck, you wouldn't like fall flat on the floor, right? You would fall on your back. So is that it? Is that the unnatural? It must be here, surely. Allow me to offer you a piece of advice regarding the pursuit of detection, my dear fellow. When noting a crucial point, it can be helpful to keep your eyes open. They were open. Sorry. And it can be equally helpful to use them. Sorry. I'll try that. Fine. I lost point for that. I think it's plain what Mr. Scholes means by unnatural, isn't it? Yes, it was, but I cannot like point it. The word written in a foreign language underneath is literally. Oh, okay. That particular crass detail was orchestrated by the culprit. Now I mean to identify another point. Imagine if you were losing your footing yourself. Would you land as the victim has? What of your hands? Oh. You look like the sort of fellow who stumbles upon regularly. You look like the sort of fellow who stumbles with some regularity. This should be an easy task. Why do I? If Kazuma tripped and fell by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck, which part of this photographic print seems unnatural? Story mode je lah. The hand? Oh. Alright, if you really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then this face just doesn't seem quite right. True. The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one mistake is to open the palms flat. Yet here we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost you might say, as though he were gripping something. What did he grip? What do you mean? Wow. Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's face a short while ago. Oh, you did? And what way do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow? Show us, please. Why, of course, my dear madam. Would I keep you in suspense? Yes, of course, you're keeping us in suspense. This is what I found. What is that? An earring? Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle. Yes, you're right. A crescent moon. Very pretty, but what does it tell us? It tells us nothing. I'm not sure that crescent moon looks like. Oh, Shotomate. Can you see something? Are you fighting? What is that? I've never seen that before. Nothing here. Yeah, what is that? It looks familiar somehow. No, it's not familiar to me. There's nothing in the evidence as well. Observation, Mr. Naruto. This is the key. What? The truth is now tantalizingly close. Is it? How did the crescent moon come to be in Kazuma's clenched fist? This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? I think it's an earring. Right ear, left ear? Yeah, I thought so. It has such pretty ears and beautiful hair like little pink shells. Oh, what is that? An earring. There's something dangling down from her ear. Yes, that's an earring. Wait, look. It's a crescent moon. Can be no doubt, surely. Oh, we can, like, present this. Miss Pavlova, on your ear there. I can see you have a crescent moon as well. What? So Pavlova, like, did Pavlova kill him? Oh my god, on your other ear. There seems to be a crescent moon missing. A little link holding it on must have broken, I suppose. It must be hurt, Now that the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Oh, sakit. That must be hurt. There is only one logical conclusion. Or did you agree, Mr. Naruto? Miss Pavlova. Kasogi must have grabbed that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear. Perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night in Mr. Sogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. Like you were quite literally at arm's length from him. Oh, but then the question is, why did Mr. Sogi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist at the moment? Angel? Oh, I think nama dia Kazuma. Kazuma tried to protect her from something, maybe. Please tell us the truth last night. What did you do to Kazuma? Wow. Ah! What happened? Now I want to know. I'm guessing this case memang don't have a court. Defense. What I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. Running away, the fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship. And then, when I was at last in this cabin and I could relax after this horrible long day. Darka, wait! I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy. But nothing worked. Darka would not come back. Knock, knock. it opened. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, Inspector. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. The young man from your country, he was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darka, and he promised not to tell anyone. Oh, but then when I had my friend in my arms again and I was going to leave the men's cabin. Just a moment, sorry, but... Oh, yes? I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Ah, of course, you're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina? Huh? Oh no, I don't know that name. I had nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from a land in the faraway east know a Russian ballerina? Oh. Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment. I can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice. I see. So you've run away. Please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone. Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. Oh, he was about to ask Junoski, but she thought she's going to pull the cord. What did I think I could trust him? Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second. It felt like forever. Wait, but then... Meow! Darka jumped out of my arms and down to the young man's feet. And... wow, slow-mo as he turned around to look at me. Oh my god, sakit ya. I pushed him. I don't even know why. I don't even know why I did it. I was just too scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me. Oh. And that's when you went to fetch help from Senior Servant who was on duty out in the passageway. I heard Nina cry out and thud on the floor, so I ran to her. She was standing at cabin door shaking like Biff. She looked at me and said, "Help me, Biff. If they find out, I will be... Please, I have nowhere to go." Decided to help, and that's when you arranged things in Kazuma's cabin to make it look like I did it, so that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin. I went into the cabin and looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. Then I found Stowaway in wardrobe still sleeping. Right, that's when he found me. So you work out a plan, lay the blame on the Stowaway. I closed wardrobe doors and put back strange paper aside. Luckily for me, that's the only reason Sato-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent. I dragged young man's body to a good place and used ink and it was spilling to right on the floor. I wrote, so that person who found him would look inside wardrobe and find Stowaway. And tell me what of glass bell. It was by my feet, so I picked it up. Oh, I was stuck in the cabin and noticed the other half. Then Angel went back to her cabin and I finished job by pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway. Yes. Oh, accordingly, the SS Korea did indicate the Seahawk at little after 2 AM. Thus enticing the boat door to get shut, creating the lockable mystery. There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova. Wait. Well, you said that you told Kazuma about the fact that you would run away from your homeland. It's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right? But even you had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, weren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem? It was what he said first that made me scared. What he said first. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, the inspector. He thought he was going to call the inspector. I thought he was a friend of mine. He said an inspector was his friend. Ah yes, meaning me, who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard. I thought that if police knew about me, they would arrest me. But before he could pull the bell cord, I stop you a moment, please, Miss Pavlova. She's angry. Tato's angry, it just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Asogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. He was going to the wardrobe. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain, but... So he really died? He was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done. Maybe he was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back. Well, Mr. Naruto, the day's work is not yet done, it seems. There is one more deduction to make. What? Another deduction? Don't prolong this, oh my god. Yes, what action was the active really about to take at that moment? I know, he was going to call for you. He was going to call for you. Suddenly making this sound so, you know, romantic somehow, Bingo. Give it to me. Oh, janganlah macam ni. Don't make me sad. First, consider the victim's location within his cabin. That's easy. I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe, but still, that cabin has been my home for this entire voyage. Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-sama. I really died? I macam tak percaya lah. Are you ready then? I'm not ready for this. If there's one thing I've learned today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all manner of truths. And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following the gaze to where it lands. So when he turned away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Kazuma looking at? The wardrobe. This. Oh. Cry. Considering everything that happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Kazuma was going to ring the bell cord. Yes, however, what is directly beside the bell cord? The wardrobe. The positioning. I blame the positioning. Oh, the wardrobe. And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe. The man's great friend, sleeping soundly. Ah. Miss Pavlova, please think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asogi's exact words last night? Give me a moment, I could use another opinion here. Another opinion. Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asogi intended to consult with his close friend on the matter. Oh, To see between them, they might be able to help in some way, no doubt. Oh no. Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. Too late for that. But I wish you had made sure what Mr. Sogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently if you had. Miss Pavlova. Oh, I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But unfortunately, the truth is a man lost his life because of what you did, and that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that. I'm sad. So, at long last, yes, how many episodes was this already? The mystery surrounding the tragic accident of Cecilia was finally laid to rest. So that's it. That's sad. What will happen to Miss Pavlova now then? Once we reach Great Britain, she will be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What about the fact that she ran away from Russia when the Russians tried to repatriate her? Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out. Sholmes can do that? Oh, nice. So she won't be going back to Russia then? No, I don't think so. When she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she would be able to. Oh, she ran away, so now she's an exile for life. I see. I'm sorry. Demon Stroganoff? I wanted to help our angel no matter what, but I didn't think about you and about how you lost good friends. I will go with me now. I will give myself to British police. That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Prisoner stuff feels like such a waste. But, well, you do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you? Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan. I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. So you should get back to your cabin now. It's sad. I'm sad now. It looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it's even begun then. I think that only days ago Kazuma and I were laughing together about how we would tear up the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? Oh, Sato. Sato-san? Naruto-san, I didn't know you had returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back long. I thought Sonaga just told me I should pack, you know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that. Oh, mata satu berair, janganlah. I want to cry too. Please, I can't believe this had happened. Oh my god, nangis bingung. Only someone's life can be over just like that. Sato-san. Cry. Such great ideas for this visit to Great Britain. So many dreams. Now they've been cruelly taken away just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible. But now, Now we know the truth that it was just an accident. Just a silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruhodo-san. It's just too much. Why, look-san? Yes, I know. I wish there was something I could say. Dare? Oh, Hosonaga, Inspector. I really was to see Asuli safely to Great Britain. But I feel and cause his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I've let everyone down. Oh, Hosonaga. Nobody blames you, Inspector. Eh? And I'm free again now at least, huh? Why am I in shackles again? Oh my god, Sholmes, what are you doing? Sholmes! Surprise! What? I was about to cry, what are you doing? Sholmes! Oh, trifling matter. Simply that in my head, I think I shall always picture you wearing those shackles, Bengal. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Oh my god. I decided to restore them for old time's sake. Shall we say you are a stowaway after all? He thinks this is funny. What? Yeah. The shows. Okay, you know, I think I'll be right back. Give me like 20 minutes, 20 minutes, you know, some 10 minutes because I need to do something. Sekejap. How to say Cotto mati ne. Can I just put something here? I need text. Forgive me, I need to go somewhere for a while. Cotto mate. To appreciate your assistance, all your assistance. I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. May I offer my sincere condolences. The loss of your companion is truly heartrending. The fact he also lost his friend, right, Wilson? Is it? I hope that you will be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in honor. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make a full report about everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute. It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway. The terms of this study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. Was to be one lawyer and one assistant. Was to be? In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. Oh no, I don't care for me, but Sato-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer and the study tour can continue surely. Sato's thinking face so cute though. There is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholes. We know of no other lawyer. Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country will be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good amount of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourself another suitable lawyer. Yes. He's the lawyer. He already defended himself, Mr. Sato. Yes. Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? But you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, unless... Are you studying law? No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry, in that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, there is still more than a month before we reach England shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a month in which to study to learn what I must to become a lawyer in Great Britain. Naruhodo. That's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody could learn all of that in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. Yeah. Nice thinking. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector, every single day. Will you let me try? And if by the time we reach Great Britain I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. Why put yourself in such a difficult position for Kazuma? Oh, he said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can't let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Mrs. Sato? Oh, she smiled. I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you. So what does our bespectacled friend say? Are you serious? One lawyer and one assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, it's madness. Yet fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Fascinating? Duty and rules are the dull routine of existence that we all abhor. Give us interest, give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character, no? And you have witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes. From the early hours of this morning until this very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion and despite the accusation of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, above all, courage. This makes me sad even further. I don't know. Macam like, you know, that heavy feeling. I know it's happy, but at the same time it's sad. For what price, right? I'll think of a clever way to put my word to my report to the Department of Justice. Inspector! After all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I would do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here. Oh, thank you, Inspector. If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next and how best to make my report. Are you really prepared to attend this, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I'm going to try. I wonder, would you consider teaching me what I need to know, everything about being a lawyer? I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant after all. Thank you. Oh. And Mr. Naruhodo, I would like you to take charge of this. What? Me? Are you sure? I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Karuma. It's a great sword that's been in the Asogi clan for generations. Very well, I accept. I'll treasure it always. Oh. And so, we'll be working together for some time to come yet. You'll be in no names now though. For the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom. We shall fill every spare moment with study. Yes, that's exactly what I need. Oh my god, that's torture, but whatever you need to do. But before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask of you too. Wow, the music suddenly stops. Goodness, what is it? Please throw me to the ground. 3 times. What? I should never have doubted you. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course, you would never have done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. And no matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable behavior. No, you were in shock. You just found out about me stowing away and the cabin door was locked for me. No, I won't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you, and not just once but 5 times. And that number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, you must. Just take hold of me and throw me, do it, don't even think about it. No, I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life. Very wise, Mr. Naruto. It isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you're here all along. I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed. When did he see that? I presume that would be a form of Japanese wrestling. Yes, it was judo, I think. In a way. Judo or Aikido. I don't know. Apparently it's called the Susato Takedown. It leaves your head swimming, believe me. How beguiling. I must try. He wanted some Susato Takedown. I am practitioner of the combative arts myself. I am somewhat accomplished boxer. I'm not confident with it. That he goes dancing around again. Dancing around. I wonder if you would be so kind as to instruct me on the technique of your arresting throw. Sato's just smiling there. Yes, I will be honored. Oh, she likes to teach people. Yes, true that Sholmes, then let us not daily demonstrate my dear madam. Oh, of course. Don't throw me. Don't throw Ryunosuke. Oh my god. Sorry. I got thrown again. As you can see, you throw from the abdomen. Don't throw me. Oh, Sholmes just there like... yes, arresting indeed. And that is what you term the Susato Takedown, is it? You should have just thrown Sholmes, you know. Actually, no, that was a Susato squash. Oh my god, there's so many Susato techniques. But at least it was lively, I guess, in my groggy state of consciousness. A scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind. A sword. Aroma? That's right, it's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asogi clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely. A Japanese man's sword is so Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Aroma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two. Not that you would need much compelling on that subject. There's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain, and I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. what is happening in Great Britain. I would appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. That important thing he had to do. I still don't know what that was. What is that important thing? But I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. So I think that's the end of episode 2. Whoa! Yeah, the end of episode 2. So I guess I'm going to end the stream right now. Save your progress, of course. Takkanlah tak nak save kan. Okay, so the adventure of the runaway room. Oh my god. So I guess I'll end the stream here. Thank you for those who come by and look and watch and just hear me rambling stuff. But I mean, like, it is a nice episode. And it's just sad. Anyways, thank you for those who look and stuff. Thank you for those who come by and watch and look. I appreciate you so much. Come by next time. So thank you. Bye bye.